Hey guys, welcome back to the Super Awesome Geek Show. Thanks a lot for clicking on my latest video. I'm John, and we're here in my toy room, and we are going to look at some Clonetroopers today. Now, this, I believe, was the Legacy Saga Clonetrooper, and the reason I have these four guys out here is because I wanted to show an example of how one mold was used for multiple figures. So you basically have the exact same mold here with a regular black and white Clonetrooper, the same exact mold, the same figure, but with green markings on him. Same figure with yellow markings, same figure with red. There may have been a one with blue markings, but I haven't tracked him down yet to buy one. But the reason I've got every single version of this mold is because I have a prototype. This here is a prototype action figure from Hasbro of this mold. It is what they call a test shot. So basically when they create the molds and they create the the look of the figure and everything, they've got it all sculpted. They need to do some test shots to make sure that the joints work, all the details are going to show through, and that it comes out smooth and clean with no little marks or rough edges or things like that. No spillover. Sometimes the edges of the mold can have some spillover, so you've got this like line going around them. So they want to make sure none of that's there. And so they do these test shots, is what they call them. And when I was at a Star Wars Celebration one of the years, this might have been like 2015 Anaheim, I think. So it was a while ago. I was able to pick up one of these test shots from one of the guys that worked at Hasbro. And so I know this is authentic. It came direct from the company, someone who worked there. But what's interesting is you can see the different colors that were used. They don't care when they do a test shot. Look at the shoulders, how the joints are different colors. They don't care about the color when they do these test shots. They're mostly concerned with the details and looking at how everything, comes together, how the joints work, how the figure fits together, how the pieces are. So the coloration, like in these joints and everything, it doesn't really matter. But to me, this is a cool piece of like Star Wars action figure history in a sense. It's a cool piece to have to show the process. Back in the day, they would do a wax, sometimes clay sculpture. Usually the sculptures that they do would be oversized, and then they would shrink them down to this size for the final mold. I would love to have one of those sculptures, the wax or the clay sculpture for a figure would be really cool to have. But those are generally one of a kind, where these test shot prototypes, they could do 100 of them before they finalize the figure, so there's always a chance. I mean, they could have only done one or two, or they could have done about 100, it just depends how many times they need to run the figure before they're satisfied and they give it a final yes or no and let it go into production. So there's always a chance that you could have a one-of-a-kind test shot prototype, or you could have one of 100 or so, It just doesn't, the number they make is not a standard number, is what I'm trying to get at. But with a wax or clay sculpture of the figure, when they're first designing it, there generally would be just one of that for each figure. So that's more difficult to find and could be thousands of dollars. Where at the time, this prototype test shot, it really only cost me 30-40 bucks. It really was pretty inexpensive, which is why I grabbed it. As opposed to today, like I was doing some searching online Mercari, eBay, various other places, and I couldn't find a prototype for less than $100 of any character. So, and a lot of them are broken, or the arms are off or something, or you just get the head or the torso with the head or something, you know. So it's like, I think it's getting harder and harder to find prototypes and test shots and things. And maybe what it is that as you get further away from the figure being released, those figures are harder to find, where maybe in a couple months you'll start seeing like vintage collection prototypes popping up, because that's the current stuff, and maybe some of those will be cheaper than what's you know, these older ones. But this is just something that I thought was pretty cool. I figured you guys would want to take a look at them, just to get some history and idea behind prototype test shots and things like that. I highly recommend trying to get some. I highly recommend collecting, trying to get some prototypes, some test shots, because in my opinion, they're a piece of history here. You know what I mean? They're part of toy collecting history, and it's something that, you know, I feel like I'm happy to have just like one, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something I'm going to go bonkers and buy like a million different prototypes, but it's cool, I think, to have one. I want to do this in my, I'm getting a frame, like a shadow box frame, and I want to line these all up like this and have them in it like this, so that you've got the test shot prototype, the clean white, and then the colored versions all lined up next to each other in a nice frame or something, and showing just the way that something gets produced. It's sort of a time capsule, a piece of history here, and I think that's a cool idea. I want to get it framed up, a shadow box frame, to display these in and hang it on the wall. Yeah, the prototype gun came with it, but it's hard to tell that gun's a prototype compared to the others, because I think it was done in the same plastic. Or they might have just a bunch of guns lying around, so they just throw it in there, you know. I don't know how it works at the company, really, with the weapons. But yeah, there you go. I hope this is interesting for you guys. I hope this was kind of a neat, quick look video at this prototype. If you guys have any questions or anything, I could try my best to answer them in the comments below. Like I said, I just think this is a really cool thing to have, and let's move him to the middle here. Do something like that, yeah. He needs to be turned, doesn't he? Yeah, he's not really facing the camera. There we go, there we go. So yeah, this is just like a cool, I think this is a pretty cool thing to own, and I highly recommend chasing a couple prototypes just to have the sample in your collection. If you're an action figure collection, I just think it's a neat piece of history, piece of the process, I guess you could say, and something that's pretty cool to have. Hope you guys agree on that, you know. Let me know in the comments below. Are you into prototypes? Do you like these test shots? Do you think this is a cool thing? Or is it just not for you? You know, because that's okay too. Alright guys, thanks a lot for taking a look at this with me. Let me know if you want to know any other details or get any other close-up looks or whatever. Thanks a lot for checking it out. I'm John. I'm out of here. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya! And may the Force be with you always.